I'm Shadoe Stevens on American Top 40. Now we're up to another newcomer to the Top 40, a 24-year-old singer who once got a call from the Queen of Soul herself, Aretha Franklin. And what did this young singer do? She hung up on her. She's Paula Abdul. Now, you don't want to think Paula was rude to Aretha. This is what happened. Paula lives in Los Angeles. In fact, she used to be a cheerleader for the Los Angeles Lakers, but she turned in her pom-poms to be a choreographer. You see, Paula's a great dancer, and back in 1984, the Jacksons asked her to choreograph their video for the song Torture. And after that, her career as a choreographer took off. She choreographed videos for Janet Jackson, Duran Duran, and the Pointer Sisters, Steve Winwood. And in 1987, she won the American Video Award as the best choreographer for her work on ZZ Top's video Velcro Fly. So Paula was hot. She was the choreographer to the stars, and Paula was still a little starstruck by it all, not really believing that she was hobnobbing with all these big names. So one day, Paula's at home in L.A., and she gets this call. Paula says the voice on the phone said, "Is this Paula Abdul? This is Aretha Franklin." I said, "Yeah, sure," and I hung up. Who'd believe Aretha Franklin would call me? Well, Aretha called back and assured Paula it was her. She was interested in Paula doing some choreography work for her. Well, once Paula believed it was really Aretha Franklin, she kept apologizing and apologizing. She said, "I thought it was a prank. I couldn't believe it was her calling me herself." Well, now when Paula gets a phone call, she believes it's who they say it is. The dancer-choreographer has now added Top 40 singer to her resume. At number 21 of the countdown is her first Top 40 hit, Paula Abdul. And straight up, we're up to the debut song by the singer who now becomes the longest charting woman in history, breaking the all-time record. Let's take a look at the top 3 longest charting women. In third place is the explosive little whirlwind from Tennessee who first charted in 1960 with the song A Fool in Love. Her most recent charting song was in May 1987, a song called Break Every Rule. That gives the dynamic Tina Turner a span of almost 27 years. The woman now in second place was in first place for the past 20 years. Her first chart hit came way back in 1942. She had a hit singing with a legendary Benny Goodman orchestra called Somebody Else Is Taking My Place. And then 27 and a half years later, she had her last chart hit, and it sounded like this.
Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing.
That's Peggy Lee with her number 11 hit from 1969, Is That All There Is? And since then, Peggy Lee's held the record. But now, somebody else is taking her place. She's the singer who first appeared on the chart in 1961 with a song called Won't Be Long. Listen to this. That's a song called Won't Be Long from 1961, and now a very long 28 years later, she's on the chart with the song that makes her the new all-time record holder. Here's the longest charting female artist in history. Aretha Franklin debuts singing a duet with Elton John. At number 36, it's called Through the Storm. We've got the pulse of the pop world, American Top 40. I'm Shadoe Stevens. Now we're up to the superstar who made some of her earliest recordings singing gospel. And we'll hear a sample. This living legend of soul grew up in Detroit, and she sang at the New Bethel Baptist Church, where her father was the pastor. Listen to this recording from her from way back in 1956 when she was only 14 years old. That voice sound familiar? It should. Here's another example. That's a 14-year-old singer who grew up to give us classics like I Never Loved a Man, Chain of Fools, Respect, and more recently took us down the freeway of love and sang a #1 duet with George Michael, I Knew You Were Waiting. This week, at 47 years old, she's singing a duet with Elton John. At number 25 on AT40, here's Soul Queen, Aretha Franklin with Elton and Through the Storm. Now we're up to the singing legend, who says the most embarrassing moment in her life may have been the time she was caught as a food smuggling hotel guest. It's a story that Aretha Franklin told writer Jerry Hershey for the book on soul giants, Nowhere to Run. Now, one of Aretha's favorite foods is pork. She loves ribs, pork chops, pig's feet, all of it. Well, a few years ago, Aretha was recording at a studio down in Miami, Florida, and she stayed at a hotel that has a lot of Jewish guests. So as a courtesy, the hotel observes very strict dietary rules. In other words, it's a kosher hotel, and that meant Aretha's favorite food, pork, wasn't allowed on the premises. So Aretha spent the first few days snacking on tasty kosher foods like bagels and herring. And then the craving hit Aretha. She just had to have some pork. She had a car, so she drove over to the soulful side of town and bought a big brown bag of pickled pig's feet, 15 pounds of it. And then Aretha drove back to the kosher hotel, left her car with the parking attendants, and walked in, clutching her precious bag of pig's feet. But by this time, the juice had soaked right through the paper bag. And as Aretha walked across the lobby, 15 pounds of pickled pig's feet went splattering all over the marble floor of the hotel. The guests gaped in horror at the forbidden food, while Aretha, well, she didn't look back. She made a beeline for the elevator and fled right back up to her suite. She says she was so embarrassed she didn't show her face in the lobby until the next day. And if there's any moral to this story, I guess it's watch where you pig out. At number 21 this week, here's Aretha Franklin singing a duet with Elton John, Through the Storm. The Grammy Awards are just a few days away, and I got a timely letter right here about the Grammys. It's from a listener in Nigeria named Selma Furtado. It says, Dear Shadow, what singer has won the most Grammys? Well, Selma, there are quite a few possibilities here. Names that come right to mind are Paul McCartney or maybe Michael Jackson. Now, Michael's won armloads of Grammys just for Thriller alone, but his total Grammy take as a singer is only 9, not even close to the record holder. The all-time Grammy-winning singer is the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She also has 15 Grammy Awards on her mantle at home, including 2 back in 1968 for a song everybody knows. That's Respect, the signature song for the lady they call the Queen of Soul, the soul singer's soul singer. Aretha Franklin is the singer who's won the most Grammy Awards, 15 of them. But there is a little footnote here. Stevie Wonder has won a total of 17 Grammys, but not all for singing. 4 were for producing or songwriting. But all of Aretha Franklin's 15 Grammys were for singing, so there's your answer, Selma, just in time for the Grammys. And a complimentary CD copy of this very AT40 show is on its way to you in Nigeria.
Just like Wayne's World.
Not.
Well, JC, it's time to party on with the AT40 Sneek Peek.
All right, excellent.
AT40 Sneek Peek. Oh my, be still my heart. It's the latest from one of my all-time favorites. This is Willing to Forgive by Aretha Franklin. Oh, my, she is something. It's no wonder they call her the Queen of Soul.
Okay, while Meshach collects himself, I'll fill you in here. From her Greatest Hits Volume 2, that's Aretha Franklin and Willing to Forgive.
Yes.
Radio is wild for it, and that's why it's this week's pick as an...